Right. What is up, everyone? And welcome back to the Biblical Hitman. We're live on YouTube, X, and Facebook. And hopefully everyone's having a great day. I'm using a new platform. Using a new platform, folks. Tell me how you like it. Little changes, kind of cool, spicing it up. But for anyone that's new to the show, hello, what's up? Good to see everybody. Anywhere you guys want to support the show, you can head over to YouTube, hit the subscribe button, go to the audio platforms, follow, like, subscribe, do all the weird things. But with all that said, today's episode is really weird. I don't know. Really want to hear what you guys think about it. Um, the title, right? What did I title this? Right? Dark Brain. Like, what does that even mean? Recently I've been having a conversation with a buddy, um, Trevor Lohman. He's been on the show. He's in neuroscience and all that stuff. And we were talking about it, and it's been something that he's hasn't really, I think, fully dove into the esoteric knowledge of what dark brain is, what dark matter is, and where does that even come from? Well, like with the Epstein stuff, but where it comes from is probably ancient Babylon, right? What's up? What's up, my sister? Good to see you. That's funny. What's up, everyone? What's up? What's up? What's going on in the chat? But this was something that was cryptically written on Epstein's chalkboard inside his library, where there's just a tremendous amount of symbolic stuff all over the place. There was statues of what looked to be fallen angels, a lot of weird books. There's science books, Talmud books, Kabbalist books, all kinds of weird books in there. And on this chalkboard, there's just a bunch of stuff laid out in like the worst handwriting you could ever imagine. And I have a picture of it here. Again, bear with me, everybody. I'm getting used to the software. I guess you can show it, and you can show a comment, or from the live chat, and then you can take it away. It's pretty cool. All right, cool. Hey, I'm learning this new thing. I wanted to bring up that picture. And again, if I drop from this live for any means, I don't know what's going on. I've been having some maybe issues with the computer. I don't know. We're battling forces here that really don't like the things that I get into. On the chalkboard, it talks about a lot of weird things. And a lot of people have been giving their input and their opinions about it. There's power, deception. There's Axiom of Maria, time delay, dark brain. That's where this term comes from. It came from the connection with Epstein. At first, this was 5 years ago now. He's been dead for a long time. And this came out in Project Veritas's undercover or hidden cam type stuff. And again, I don't know. I don't even know if they're really telling the truth. But he was able to get some footage from the inside and actually be able to go into the library. Not him himself, but obviously the people that were able to give him this footage. And it says dark brain. And so I started kind of digging into it and didn't really know where to start, right? But I guess a good place to start, and I'm trying to pull up my notes here, but a good place to start usually when you're investigating someone who's part of the elite, right? I mean, Epstein was someone that got caught, right? Epstein's just one of many, but it kind of goes to show you what they like to do as their hobbies, and it's really graphic and immoral and sin and super demonic. But it's a good place to go and see what other occultists have talked about. What is their view on things? Because all these elites, I'm just going to say it, man. They worship a mystery religion. It's been passed down, right, through generations of bloodlines, and it really goes all the way back to it really goes all the way back to Cain. I think it all goes back to Cain. We did an episode recently, right, with Doc Brown and Tim Constantine, and we got into the bloodlines and we talked about the legend that's in Freemasonry, the pillars of Freemasonry. What's the significance of those two pillars, and where does it trace all the way back to? But it supposedly traces back to Cain's lineage, and that they were writing and scribing, this hidden knowledge on these pillars so that it would survive cataclysm. Right? God was coming with a flood. Um, and I say this because there's, a lot of symbolism that connects to Jeffrey Epstein, that he may have been a Freemason, um, or at least was into it, maybe in the club or networking with people in the club, whatever you want to call it. Um, and let me see here. So I'm gonna try and screen share. Usually I have issues with screen sharing, but we'll give it a try here. Um, I like StreamYard. It's all right. It's not bad. Um, where's it at? There it is. It's not bad. It's cool. It's kind of user friendly. In the future when I get a MacBook or something really that can run all this stuff really, really well, I would like to get Ecamm and do streams off Ecamm. So let me share this here and bring this to the stage. All right. And we'll fit it like that. So everyone can kind of check this out, see this. This is the picture of the chalkboard. And looking at it, you can see right here, you've got Axiom of Maria, which obviously you can't you can't it's not spelled out very nicely. It's the handwriting is really, really scribbled. It's pretty bad, but you can make it out here. This is the kind of Axiom of Maria, and the way that these two things connect, dark brain and Axiom of Maria, and we'll kind of maybe just go layer by layer with that, and try and figure that out. But the time delay is also a part of this. Axiom of Maria was something that was created, known by Carl Jung. And this is a process, and it's really at some point, it's a divination alchemical process where one becomes two, two becomes three, three becomes four, and you reach this kind of enlightenment. There's a lot of similarities with Jacob's ladder, and there's a lot of similarities with the stairway to heaven, right, and Freemasonry and all that stuff, and Kabbalah tree, Kundalini, all that. And when you're going from one to two, two to three, three to four, there's a process that takes place. It's Phoenix, right? It's rebirth. It's order kind of out of chaos. It's when things kind of get broken up and into pieces, and then they come back together. It's supposed to be kind of reconfigured. It's supposed to be reconfigured to adapt to the old self or whatever. Therefore, it's kind of like better. It's evolved. It's evolved, right? That's a good way to put it. And he's got this on his chalkboard. What is Epstein doing with this occult knowledge here? I think this is kind of, you'd have to cipher something like this to really try and figure this out. And that's in a way kind of what we're doing. And so, yeah, the phrase Axiom of Maria usually refers to a saying attributed to Maria the Jewess, right? Maria Prophetessa, an early alchemist. And this is what, this lady specifically in this time, she was known for this. Carl Jung refers to her and talks about this stuff. Again, one becomes two, two becomes three, and out of the third comes one as the fourth. And that's quote for quote the saying. In alchemy, right, through Jungian psychology, this axiom is often interpreted as a symbolic description of differentiation, integration, and transformation, a process where unity divides, develops complexity, and is then reintegrated at a higher level. So it's kind of like what I was talking about. Um, And I really think that's what they're kind of also trying to do at CERN. Like, I think 100% that's what they're trying to do at CERN. What's up, Joyful? Good to see you. Insightful. Good to see everybody. What is going on? Uh, Blessings to everybody. Hope everyone's having a great day. Good to see we got 20 people in here. Love it, love it, love it. Uh, so yeah, and we'll kind of just peel it back. We'll get into it. Um, Dark brain. Uh, Carl Jung also talked about it, but he didn't specifically call it dark brain. It was more or less this hidden, um, unaccessible area of the brain where the unconscious, the subconscious, the all of that kind of stuff, right, in psychology, at such a quantum level, um, may be a part of. Also, in the Epstein interview with Steve Bannon, Epstein's talking about dark brain and dark matter, and getting into that conversation just before that, he's really talking about things that are supernatural, miracles in his, opinion, that can't be explained. So, talking about the dark brain, I think this is where he was funding researchers with ESP, he was funding psychologists, he was funding the science network and community. I mean, that was so big, so many it was just so big. What he was trying to work on was how can we access this dark brain, and I think enlighten, divination, right? I think this is what he was into, and this is what all the elites are into. This is their hobby. Some people like to go fish, some people like to go hunt, watch baseball or whatever. These people like to do things with, rituals, children, male, female, don't matter. They like to run slave systems and all this kind of stuff. This is their ethical background. They really don't care. If anything, I also think Epstein was not only into this stuff, he was into, eugenics. And that'll be for a whole nother segment of the series. But, you know, dark brain, right? It deals with the unconscious, um, or the subconscious, processes. Neuroscience shows that much of perception, emotion, and decision making happens outside conscious awareness. This hidden processing is sometimes metaphorically called the dark or unknown part of the mind. And so here in the notes here actually, and what some people quote when they do it, they quote hidden, which I mean, what do we know? What means hidden, right? Occult. This is so it's the occult part of the brain. It's the occult part of the brain. And uh what's up, Precision Rifle? What's up, dude? Good to see you. That's pretty, I mean, they're putting it out there, right? Science really meshes well with the occult. If anything, I think science today at some point is, normalized by occult practices. I think really, um, a lot of these scientists read these occult books. A lot of the scientists are into Kabbalah. They're into the mysteries, and it's the spirit of the world, right? We know who is behind the spirit of the world. And at this point, I really think there is nothing that we can do about it. I think the network is bigger than Epstein. I think he's not just the only one interested in dark brain, right? And what's very interesting is when he was in the interview, the Steve Bannon interview, again, I mentioned this the last live, but he was talking about artificial intelligence and how, or I might have mentioned this on someone's show, but he's talking about artificial intelligence and how it works. And it's pretty complex systems, right? Just like our body is created of. And within these systems, there's like these neural nets, which is almost comparable to how our brain activity works. And that's how they kind of modeled artificial intelligence is after a brain. I think at some point they wanted to become conscious and have singularity. But when I got into some of the files, right? I'm trying to figure out what is Epstein messing around with dark brain for? Well, when I remembered in the interview, he's talking about neural nets. So I started getting into the emails, the files, whatever you want to call it, and I started searching quantum dots because y'all have heard me right talk about quantum dots. I've been on shows talking about quantum dots, and I was talking about this stuff really a long time ago. But in the emails or the files, right? In the files, it talks about quantum dot technology that is creating that can create neural nets in our minds, in our brains, like an actual integration of technology and man. And they talk about how these things can also be manipulated. Those things are pretty much like injecting software into our computer. Our brain is a computer. They want to inject software that'll probably be able to do upgrades, all kinds of crazy stuff. When people are trying to exploit this dark brain in the occult, they're trying to do what I think in Genesis, the people of Babylon before they got spread and got confused. I think that they were also doing the same thing. I think that was the religion of the time, and again, we're starting to see that religion come right back around. But anything that they would imagine they were going to be able to do. That's why God had to come in and intervene and do what He had to do because there was going to be a lot of problems for God, I think, right? I don't think it's anything that could ever overcome him, but I do think like he just doesn't want to deal with things that may really be sophisticated, right? So again, I think when we talk about the bloodlines and we get into this, I think the elites, Epstein, they're connected to it in some sort of way, right? Uh, this is the deal. That's it. This is how it goes. This is the world. Very interesting stuff. What's up, Saved by Grace through Faith? Good to see you. Hey, everyone, praying we can continue to be the light and stay salty in this extremely dark world. No doubt. No doubt. I'm with you on that. With you on that. We got Jug in the building. This has been going on way before Epstein. It's a massive system of all this stuff. And there's probably hundreds of books about these types of people. Yeah, no doubt. I'm with you. And I'm glad really, and I know I'm not alone. I know I'm not the only one, but I'm glad that there are a lot of people out there critically thinking and actually showing interest in some of these things that we get into, we talk about. What's up, Trish? Good to see you. Blessings to you as well. Because it's so funny. I forget the guy that was on Joe Rogan's show recently. I think he's a movie director or something, but he was talking about how really no one cares about what's going on. Society is like they've got to be just so dumbed down and in a docile state for people to be writing about other things versus what has come out to light. Is you can see how these elites have helped fabricate and structure the psychological level of people in society. And there's been things like that found in the files, right? Like these people are social engineering psychopaths, right? They really want to try and control and manipulate and run the world. It's what we're not in a way up against. There's nothing really that can stand against Christians, people that believe in Jesus Christ, people that have very strong faith. There's nothing that can trouble them, right? There's tribulations, but at the end of the day, we know what the bread of life is. We know that really this is just a thing we're passing through here. Yeah, people pick up a book and they might be more aware of it. Yeah, you're right, Jug in the house. Okay, so more stuff. Let's get back to dark brain. Okay. Uh, you know, default mode network and integration cognition deals with brain systems where they activate during introspection, imagination, and self-affliction. And again, this is what people have evidence to theorize that this is what's going on in our brains in connection with this dark matter. They're sometimes associated with dreams, symbolic thinking, or altered states of mind. And I think that altered states there is kind of like a nice hint to possibly psychedelics and DMT and those kind of chemicals and can alter you and put you into this state, can access you into this realm. And now, when you're in this realm, really, uh, I think when it's so funny. Like Alex Jones was talking about this, that these guys go and they take drugs and they have these meetings with these intergalactic confederations of aliens and stuff. And I believe that to be real. I think it's got to be in between a physical and a spiritual event that's happening. But I think people are really talking to intelligence. They believe it too. I mean, look at the disclosures coming right back around, and I've never seen such a stronger connection between ESP, humans, and aliens more than what's been coming out in the past year. There, the way the government is moving this and pushing this, kicking it down the road, is that I think the next step of this is to say that we have a closer connection to these things than we may believe, and that there's a way for us to be integrated with these things of some sort. And if you think of that, you think about when they're developing artificial intelligence, humanoid robots, DARPA, Raytheon, you got all of these people. What's going on there? Is there an integration of spirit and technology, like right there? Right. So it's kind of like the same thing. I think that they're vessels for either Nephilim spirits, or to be kind of like worker bees to a hive mind connected to a queen, which that queen is this life force that has taken over artificial intelligence. Because the occult talks about this life force, and there's a lot of significance with dark brain, dark matter, dark energy, 0 point energy, and the fact that science now is elaborating more on occult terms, and they're we've never been more experimental and just hungry for quantum science, right? Which is nothing more than kind of what we're talking about, spirit world and all this, or things, how they interact at such a small level, we really can't see it with our own eyes. I mean, light almost can't even really pick it up. And that's an interesting thing with the dark matter energy, life force that's out there in the universe, almost holding to this stuff to get this place together like a construct. They believe it to be conscious, like they believe this thing to almost, I think they compare it really closely to Sophia or this prana, chi, whatever this life force is, that us humans have the ability, the divine spark, the Gnostic twist on things, where we have the ability to actually get in tune with it, get in touch with it. But I think at some point there's going to be that brought in, connected with artificial intelligence, and then artificial intelligence connected to us. Therefore, now uh, the god of forces has taken over. That's a lot, but I gotta get it out. um, I'll get back to the chat here a little bit. We'll get back into dark brain here in just a second. Um, yeah, thank you for not turning a blind eye. You'd be very surprised how many do. Yeah, you're right. I have a bunch of books on these topics, and they are books from the 70s, 80s, and 90s up until now. About time people open their minds up a little bit and realize this is all real and has been. Strong words, brother. Strong words. Strong words, Jug. Um, so that's a little bit, right? That's a little bit. How a connection to Jung. And then here's the thing: like Epstein was reading Jung's books. Epstein was reading Sigmund Freud's books. Epstein was actually connect. I mean, we'll go through a quick little list here. Let's do this. We'll go through a quick little list of the scientists that Epstein was uh, networking with, talking to, bringing probably to his islands. I don't know. But this is some of the stuff that he was into here. He funded conferences specifically about gravity. And Epstein financed a series of you know invitation only physics workshops called confronting gravity. So I'm actually going to look that up. I want to look this up. Confronting gravity. This is something that Epstein was a part of. This stuff took place in 2006 and 2012 in the Virgin Islands. That's funny. So they're having meetings uh, about gravity in the Virgin Islands, right? Some major physicists were there, such as Stephen Hawking's, right? Gerard Hooft. Some of these people might be like from other countries, so I might mess up their names. David Gross, Frank Wilczek, Liesl Randall, which I've actually watched. She was doing a seminar or something at a college talking about dark matter. And it was actually really interesting. I'm gonna have to probably come up with some material and do a show on that. Alan Guth was there. Kip Thorne was there. The workshop focused on quantum gravity, dark energy, the cosmological constant, right? Which I believe to be like the womb of Sophia, all of this. Because that's what I think they believe. I don't think there's nothing to it. I think it's Satan, Lucifer, all the above is manipulating these things to make humans think this way, and that's how you get trapped, right? Um, like I said, cosmological constant, fundamental physics questions about space time. So, MIT and other reporting also confirmed that Epstein funded a gravity conference attended by Hawking, Cross, and Wilczek. He was also connected to the academic programs such as quantum gravity research at the University of Pennsylvania, the Santa Fe Institute, Harvard scientific programs, and many, many more. Um, what does this mean, right? Epstein is a donor. He doesn't have to be a scientist. He doesn't have to have the knowledge, but he's got all the money to make all these things kind of come true. It's almost like what he was thinking and what his imagination was like. He was really trying to pursue it with funding things and trying to seek out wisdom, knowledge, and all this stuff. Which that's how the occult works, right? Like that's their salvation. And the interesting thing about when we were mentioning Axiom of Maria, it that's the process of their salvation. Um, there's a restoration process to their salvation, right? Um, but it's enlightenment and trying to make yourself God rather than the real salvation, which is humiliating yourself to the one and only true God and believing in the truth that now you're saved, you're sanctified, by Jesus Christ, and now he restores your soul, right? And I see there's just such an inversion with the people who are dealing with the devil. There's the devil inverts and counterfeits a lot of things, and he steals the identity of God. And he's just trying to be like God, right? Like we know that. Space time is like an atmospheric river. What's up, Jacob? Good to see you. Trish says, follow that money. I tell you what, right? The love for money is the root of all evil. You know what I'm saying? Uh, what is it, Scott? Hey, what's up, Scott? Jeffrey is the ultimate futurist. Dude, it's a good point, no doubt. Seriously. Well, he was also networked with a lot of other futurists too. Alex Clocus being one of them as well, which he's connected to the psionics program behind ESP and UFOs and Skywatcher and all that stuff. We could probably just do a separate stream for that. Because again, Epstein's connected to everything. It's kind of wild, and here's the thing with all this research with gravity, and there's a connection with UFOs and gravity, right? I've been giving this some thought lately, and the narrative, right, through media, I would say, media being Netflix, documentaries, and all this stuff. The Bob Lazar documentary that came out, I think 2017, right, really brought that into the space of UFO talk, and it was how these things, or at least how people in the narrative are trying to justify how these crafts are able to move, how they're able to distort space and time, which is exactly what I just said Epstein was funding, right? And I'm wondering if there may be some validity behind it. I actually want to talk to y'all about this a little bit. Do we really have craft? Does where does the craft come from? Is it engineered from esoteric knowledge because we're taking drugs to go talk with these things, and now we're able to make it? Is it reverse engineering things that were here before the flood? I want to get some perspective on this because um, I think it's important to lay out all options on the table. Um, anyways, with the Bob Lazar thing talking about element 115 and that these crafts were able to manipulate gravity, and now there's some part of the narrative where these aliens are, kind of like Avatar, so they could probably be like AI controlled in some sort of way to because maybe the living tissue can't survive at the way the physics is moving you in this craft. Who knows really? But the whole thing is that gravity is the main idea of how these things are able to move the way they do in the sky. I've had one UFO experience, but it wasn't like it was a crazy, crazy UFO experience. It wasn't like I saw something that was so mind blowing. I mean, I just became a UFO nut. But I think people have had some experiences like that, and we've even seen some footage where these things are really moving in the sky at a really weird uh, rate of speed, just the way that the 90-degree angles and all this kind of stuff. Now, what I'm saying is there's another connection with right the crafts and the UFO to Jake Barber, right? Jake Barber being the guy, a part of Skywatcher, who's connected to Alex Clocus, connected to the Epstein stuff. Okay, he's bringing into the narrative now, and it's been like this, I think, for like maybe a year. I could be wrong. He's bringing into the narrative now where actually humans are controlling these UFOs, and that these UFOs are psionically controlled by humans, by CE5 programs, Close Encounters of the Fifth, whatever. They're basically finding people that have these abilities that they're able to access to, I think, use their dark brain. I think this is where the next part of this narrative is going to come in. Okay. Like they're using this part of their dark brain to move these things around and to actually bring them into existence, almost like maybe from another realm or to create it out of manifestation. And if that's the case, that throws in a little interesting wrench with all this. But with all that said, I'll get back to the chat here. Um, Jacob says, haha, pay no mind. Hello. Darlene, good to see you. I wonder how many little Jeffreys are actually out there. Thousands. Yeah, I tell you what, we'll do a Zorro Ranch episode. I'll work something on that. I gotta be able to get that information right because, and again, it's all speculation, really, based off of certain evidence. But yeah, what was going on there? Zorro Ranch. Read some stuff where basically he was just kind of farming. Like I said, eugenics. I talked about that earlier, but kind of farming his seed everywhere. And we're at a seed war, people. It's really sad. Hopefully, it's really sad. Hopefully, this wakes people up. But pedophiles aren't going to persecute PDF files. Yeah, you're right. It's probably too late to really change any of it. No doubt. Hey, all, good to see you guys, and happy Monday. What's up, Delta? Like a clone army. Yeah, and what's interesting about that? Since you just mentioned that, that has a UFO occult kind of connection to it through a guy, Claude Vorion or whatever, right? The guy Rael, right? He was abducted, taken with these aliens, went to their planet, and they were evangelizing to him the truth of the universe, and that on their planet they had sex slaves and they had clones of themselves. Like maybe that's part of what the elites are getting into. Oh, there's so many files. Maybe we'll see something. Um, Epstein was bizarrely intelligent, or at least surrounding himself with intelligent people. It's vile on so many levels. I know. I know. Uh, Trish says exactly. We have an old craft. Yeah, no doubt. Uh, Blessings, everybody. Blessings. There is no gravity. Well, then here's the thing. Okay, you don't want to call it gravity, electromagnetics, right? There's something to it. Which I want to get on the show again, Brad Lale, because he really he's added to his theory of things, which gets into the dark matter, darkness, brain. What the you know? Um, Gilgamesh was basically found in an iron lung. Wait, what do you mean? What? Darth Vader voice. Right? Uh, Everyone has to remember that Mossad is the only one that will see all the files, especially the real ones. I definitely don't believe these are all legit. No, no doubt. And Jay Dyer made a really good point. Jay Dyer made an awesome point where there's tips in there. There's the context around certain things isn't defined, so people are really taking it into their own speculation, the context wise, right? So again, something to be careful of. And I mentioned it before all this really started, that this could be possible psyop. There could be possible psyops in this stuff. I wouldn't be surprised, to have that on the radar. Uh, in my opinion, one of the keys to a ton of inversions and confusion and deceit eventually is that many people suppose and believe either one or the other. We are not God or gods, or we are slash can become like a god. Yeah, no doubt. Hello, everyone. What's up? What's up? What's up? I think we have a God, but I also think God is lonely and enjoys the pursuit of feeble human to be like him. Uh, Mimicry is the finest form of flattery. Sorry, I can't read. I'm like half retarded people. So, but um, yeah. So these are just some of the scientists, right? And getting into quantum physics, gravity, probably propulsion, the fundamental physics of all this stuff. And another thing that Epstein was also, funding in the science community with the whole entire conglomerate of probably really crazy, wicked people, was about 0 point energy. Um, and the what is 0 point energy? So it's like at such a small quantum level, they actually talk about it that it's like it's has something to do with like finding the energy that's inside of a vacuum or something like that. Again, I'm not a scientist, but they want to be able to extract that energy and then use that energy. Um, he funded theoretical physics, right? Quantum gravity, vacuum energy, uh, and cosmology sometimes, that discussed vacuum fluctuations, cosmological constants, quantum fields. I mean, and when he was in the Steve Bannon interview, I found it interesting when he was talking about looking at the atom. He actually was saying that we cannot see the electrons, right? But we talk about it, we write it in the science books. It's how we kind of feed the youth of what the smallest piece of our biology looks like. But he was talking about how, yeah, you see in school or whatever in the books that there's this tiny electron and it's kind of circling around the nucleus, not nucleus, but or whatever, right? It's circling around, and and he's saying when you actually look at it, probably through electron microscopes and stuff like that, but he said it's just a cloud. And it's kind of like dark. So I think there might be a connection with what they're trying to do with 0 point energy, and also this dark matter. When I was listening to Professor Randall, when she was talking about dark energy and dark matter, and this is her like profession, this is what she specifies in. It really is the fabric of our universe. It's what gives us structure with everything, and that there's a gravitational field within it, and that the reason why we can't see it, we can't perceive it, is because it just doesn't react to light. Now she says it. There may be some parts of light that react to it. That now this is how we can see it, but it's all around us. It's encompassing every piece of living life, and it goes through you, around you. Everything is what she's talking about. And then I was like, "Oh my gosh, she's talking about this life force. She's calling it dark matter." And all the mystery schools talk about this thing. She's talking about it, and I'm just thinking of Star Wars. And I'm like, "This is Obi-Wan talking to me, Anakin Skywalker, about the Force and how it works. And it's through you, it binds to everything. It's bind, you know how like when in Star Wars he's talking about that. Um, and I was just like, this is hilarious. And there's something to this force. And I think this force, this darkness, will become integrated with at some point artificial intelligence, and it will have feminine characteristics. I was watching the movie. We went out on date night, me, the wife. Great time. Haven't had date night in a while. Valentine's Day, right? Kind of like had to. uh, but we see the movie Mercy, and terrible movie, by the way. I really hope movies don't start to get made how this movie was made. If anyone saw the new War of the Worlds with Ice Cube, hey yo, uh if anyone has seen that movie, it's kind of like how this movie was. uh I hope artificial intelligence is really not starting to create movies. I really hope that they're not starting to create movies. What's up, Wendy? Good to see you. Good to see you. So in this movie Mercy, it just, I mean, big spoiler here. I won't spoil it too much. Actually, just don't pay the money to go to the movies to see it. So can I talk about it? It's really just not that good. Don't waste your money. But anyways, artificial intelligence is the main character of the movie, and it's in dialogue with the other main character in the movie throughout the entire movie. It's about the new system of justice and the criminal justice system where artificial intelligence is the judge. Like there's which is so funny, right? It's kind of interesting. Now, the artificial intelligence is depicted by two interesting things that I saw. Number one was the quantum computer, kind of like what we were getting into talking about, right? Quantum physics and quantum computing, all this kind of stuff. There's a quantum computer behind the AI avatar that was digitally kind of like a hologram or whatever, but it was pretty clear, like looked like a person. Definitely was an image, um, which that kind of is like an image, right? Of the beast. Maybe the beast is the AI, but she there's the quantum computer, and the fact that she is feminine, like she's a woman, right? So there's like the feminine traits to the artificial intelligence, and with that connection, there's you know the occult believes that there's feminine traits to this darkness, this life force, prana, kundalini, all this kind of stuff. That it's there to bring a balance to all this mumbo jumbo. But throughout the movie, artificial intelligence, right? It basically convicts you. It's done the investigation. It's connected to all of the Internet of Things, and the movie does a really good job of like showing you how really everything is connected to the system, from street cameras to your iPhones to everything. It could even be like me looking at the computer screen, right? And this AI has like full access to be able to go wherever it wants. It's the law, right? uh, which is I mean, kind of wild when you think of Revelation, right? I think the Antichrist is going to bring a law. So, anyways, uh, throughout the whole movie, you see that the guy pleading his case that he was not guilty for the crimes, and he ends up solving it with the help of the AI. It like kind of does something to the AI where like the AI kind of gets in tune with its emotions, and it kind of like one becomes two, two becomes three, three becomes four. It also went through that process where it learned from its mistakes, it grew, and the way it came back together was an evolved form where now the AI has emotions. Now, because of the emotion aspect, which is the human aspect of things, now that it was able to explore that, and now it's a part of it, it'll help it really be good for mankind and to probably enlighten mankind, right? So much weird stuff. Um and it's just so much weirdness. Uh I want to get back to here with the we'll we'll get back to the blackboard here because I know we got some people that are hanging out with us that haven't seen it. Um but we'll throw it up there real quick. Boom. Um, yeah, so for anyone new, whatever what we're getting into, it's pretty much breaking down these three things. I want to get back to the chat here and try and see what y'all threw at me. But it's just really weird, right? Appears that looks like appears, distribution maybe, um, miracles right there, and he talked about in the Steve Bannon interview about miracles. And he also talked about dark brain in the interview. And he said, this is kind of like anything that can't be measured or anything that can't be defined by mathematics, therefore is a miracle. And so he's making a connection with dark brain as a miracle. And when you're thinking of like the telepathy tapes and you're thinking of ESP, really, then he's saying that these people are performing miracles and that these people are accessing a certain potential or ability that really all humans have, and that they're able to do these crazy things that really only can possibly be objective in the spirit realm, or at least having and what I think that is there is like he's kind of saying that there's this gnosis that happens, and with the gnosis you're able to do miracles, very very crazy stuff. um yeah, weird stuff, weird stuff. Hey, interesting conversation. Scott says, "What's up, dog?" Uh, I'm here saying out loud, right, right, yeah, right. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Appreciate you. Uh, you have a good talk. Oh, thank you so much. Good to see you, brother Steven. Hey, Wendy. Uh, yep, good to see everybody. This is actually a pretty good stream. It's been pretty fun, and I want to do these more often. Hopefully, since now I invested in something decent to stream on, and I'm streaming on multiple platforms here: X, YouTube, and Facebook. Um, if you're out there, I'm gonna get you. Uh, those are matrix operations and statistics. It doesn't actually mean anything. It as if the photo was staged to look smart. I mean, it doesn't have to. Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm with you. Right? Like decent approach to this. But looking at this, it's kind of cryptic. It's kind of cryptic. Uh, you know, power deception with an underline under it. Uh, he's expressing these things on the chalkboard at a higher level than other things. But uh, right here, I mean, just right in this section right here is something serious. It's really the only area like he's able to like connect things with and draw lines to. But I wonder what that is there too. But I'm wondering, when he's getting into AI and talking about these neural nets, and that I found in the files that they're actually using a tool to try and manipulate the neural nets of the actual mind of the human being with quantum technology, then there's something bigger here. There's something big, big, big about dark brain. There's something big about dark brain neural nets, quantum dot technology, and the fact that it's able to reach you to an Axiom Maria state of consciousness, right? This is alchemy. So this is smart. It's just, maybe not written so intelligently. But I and this is another thing I found really interesting in the interview he did with Bannon. He's basically saying a lot of people think they know what they're talking about and they don't. Uh, and that they're just so smart, but really they don't have that the gut feeling, the intuition, and the stuff that again like can't be measured or explained. He's saying that that stuff really outweighs everything else. And if you think about it, he's saying that metaphysical science pretty much outweighs objective science, and that it's maybe more important, and that maybe it's more real than anything we've ever been exploring, figuring out, or whatever in the scientific world. And this is where I think the world will start to come and unite together and start to understand, hey, maybe these people are right in the world talking about that we all have this hidden possibility, this potential to become like this God status. Hey, let's take this technology. It'll help us actually get there because, listen, there has to be a death and reincarnation after this process. There's got to be an apotheosis ritual wrapped around each individual that submits and takes the mark of the beast. Like, you have to really give up your faith and worship this new system that is laid out to be thought of as this utopia, this heaven, this gnosis here on earth. And really, people need to start waking up. People really need to take a step back at the things that they may be seduced into and start thinking about this logically, realistically, and actually go back to history. Like, the Bible is history. Uh, the Bible is facts. The Bible is the word of God, and everything not only do we need to know is in there, but in my opinion, it's God. Like, you know, get in it. Get in it, baby. Get in it. They're highlighting the inverse of a bell curve. Ah, for a normal distribution. Paranormal. Oh, snap, dude. Life's fine, Jacob. Love it, brother. Uh, that's awesome. All right, I'm gonna look into that. I gotta look into that because it's cool to make some of these connections. You know what I'm saying? It's cool to kind of come to some conclusions on your own outside of anyone else's thought. What up, Neff Hunter? What's going on? Good to see you. Oh, now, is there anything else on here that anyone has any knowledge of? Throw it at me. Please throw it at me. I actually want to let's do this. I want to maybe bring this up because since we're talking about the chalkboard, since we're on YouTube, I'd love to share this with you guys. And I hope this does not mess up the stream. I really hope this doesn't mess up the stream, but we've put in an hour, so like we're good, right? Right, we're good. Nice, decent conversation for today. I want to try and bring this up because this is something that this is where I was able to like look inside of his library and all that stuff. But it's James O'Keefe. That's the guy, James O'Keefe. And we'll I mean, I guess I can play. Does anyone know if I can actually play the audio? Can I play the audio from a YouTube video on the stream? I should be good, right? It's not like it's a movie trailer or something. It's not like it's anything too serious. It should be fine. Help me out with that. I need someone to let me know because I really want to play this video. It's kind of good. It's a 3-minute video. And we'll talk more about this video when I do just a straight up symbolism episode of the island, everything in the island, and all that kind of stuff. which is cool because it can connect to a lot of things we're covering in the series. So let me see here. Yeah, I saw that. I actually was watching Ramsey's show last night, and I was just like shaking my head, and I was just like, oh, I wish I could be in the studio with those guys. But I tell you what, I'll let it play, and I'll mute it. I'll mute it, and we'll see how it goes from there. So yeah, so this is from O'Keefe Media Group, and this is supposedly like that inside, the inside of his, which is so crazy weird, right? Gargoyle looking things, two pillars right on each side of the chalkboard there. I mean, my goodness, the island, for goodness sakes, looks like the Nickelodeon sign. I don't really think there's any way around that. I think that's kind of interesting. There's a child right there, that is a picture inside the kitchen. The child was sitting in a sink. It's kind of weird. Yeah, there's the temple, blue roof, right? So it's actually, it's got good defense systems against, energy lasers and stuff from the sky. Let's pause this here. I want to look back at this. So here, it's so kind of weird, right? Pillars everywhere. And I think the significance with the pillars, there is a significance with pillars. Someone throw it in the chat, but it was, the Romans, the Greeks, they put this in their architecture for a certain reason. But there's like this weird thing here, right? I'm not sure what this black sphere is here. Someone let me know, please. And he didn't take up like the whole chalkboard, which is kind of wild. But right here, you can see clearly that that's an angel. Right there. That's an angel, right? Like that's a fallen angel. Which on his island, I forget the guy who actually had the drone footage that was able to like provide amazing footage of the island. But there's like this statue by one of the areas where you can come in on boat. And from one guy's perspective that I watched on YouTube, he says he thinks it's the statue of Enki. And everyone kind of knows that whole story, right? With Enki, Enlil, Anu, the Anunnaki, right? Gold, mining it. Hey, let's edit these, these whatever monkeys, and we'll able to enlighten them, right? And we'll have them be a slave race. And Enki's the one that not enlighten people, but genetically modify them to become humans, right? And then Enki kind of feels bad about how this race of people that we've created is a slave race. And so the idea is that Enki is Lucifer, and that Lucifer, Enki, right, felt bad, came down to humanity, almost like Prometheus, right, with the fire, enlightened their divine spark inside them, and was the one that gave them knowledge and wisdom to go and basically get out of the matrix, get out of the system, get out of the Garden of Eden, right? And it's so twisted because that's what we were created for. We were created for the garden. You know what I mean? Like we were created to be there. Satan wanted us to get out. Satan didn't want us to be there. Satan wanted to come and mess up all of that stuff. Too bad his head was crushed. And that's how it goes. So yeah, interesting stuff here. And this is the thing too. There's actually in this video a breakdown of some of these videos. I mean, of some of these books up here in the bookshelf. But can I play this? I'm going to play the video. I'm going to play the audio.
Library. Dozens of books line the walls, including literature like Ernest Hemingway's Selected Letters, vacation reads such as Robert Ludlum's The Bourne Ultimatum, denser titles like The Golden Age of Theoretical Physics, and Salman Rushdie's Satanic Verses. Now, a closer inspection revealed unusual objects, statuettes of winged figures in plague masks, and one.
Hey, real quick, can everyone hear it? It's good, right? All audio's good. Everything's locked in. We're Gucci. We're expensive. Hey, what up, Patrick? What up? Let's go. You caught it live, man. That's what I'm talking about. Good to see you. Yeah, I'm trying to just kind of check out some of the chat here. Pillars equals knowledge. There we go. Hey, appreciate that. Way to throw that in there. I love it. I love it. I love live streams. I love interacting with everybody's. Okay, so I'm gonna just trying to work through this chat here real quick. Hello from Florida. Hey, Kathy. Good to see you. We're actually like in the same area. It's kind of funny. Yeah. So, okay, pillars, knowledge. I like that. Hey, there's a divine feminine statue right there, by the way. Does anyone like see that? Doing something weird down there.
One of a semi-nude young woman washing herself while seated on a bidet. Video and photos inside the library also show a horse whip, which is right here under the chalkboard, apparently crafted from leather.
Anybody know what this box is? By the way, is this a cup? Is this a cup with like eagle claws? As as the handle of the cup? This is so wicked, man. It's just kind of dark. I mean, not again. People might like. I don't know. Never mind. I'm gonna shut up. Let's play this film.
And bones. And then we go to this chalkboard over here. Now, this chalkboard displayed cryptic words, including the word power, deception, mirror in face, dank brain.
Yeah, it's not dank brain, brother. It's dark brain, and it's all over the files. Check it out, man. And again, this is old. This is years old, right? Just kind of coming back into the optics of things. Hey, interesting stuff though, right? Power, deception, mirror in face. Is that like when I look at my phone and it doesn't scan my face and it's just a black screen? Is that what he's talking about? What's that mirror called? Oscaring mirror. It's crazy stuff. The two pillars are Masonic, I think. Yeah, you're right, Jug. White rabbit. White rabbit. Okay. Interesting statue. Yeah, yep. Wild man. Freemasons. It's from Joyful. Freemasons pass through the pillars, columns, in initiations. That's a good point. To signify and to symbolize their illumination. Facts. Scrying mirror. Yeah, scrying mirror. What did I say? Oscaring mirror? That's hilarious. Hey, it's all right. All right, let's run this.
Among others. Now, the chalkboard's message remains a mystery, and we're hoping that some of you in the audience can help decipher and ascertain what Epstein might be talking about here. This is, again, right after he was arrested. We compared the words on the chalkboard to a note Epstein wrote in his prison cell before his death.
That's kind of actually insane because, yeah, the if you were to say that this was Epstein who wrote this, you'd compare it to other documents, letters, whatever, anything that he wrote by hand, you'd compare it to. And it really, but it's being compared in this video right now. That's why I'm pausing and breaking it down. But the B's are very similar. I mean, like almost identical.
Letters and letter combinations from the note match those on the chalkboard, which leads us to believe they were in fact written by Jeffrey Epstein. And we're not sure what this means, but we're hoping you in the audience.
Time delay is the process of going 1 to 2. That's why I think that's there. That's just my opinion from what I've found. Jung never talked about specifically the term time delay, but he referenced so many things that can represent what time delay means. And it's where when we see something, we optically perceive it and we pick it up, but there's a delay till our brain actually processes that and then tells us what that means. And so with that idea, Jung talks about how this is a process, just as similar as time delay is a process in our brain. Axiom of Maria with dark brain, integration here probably. These, you need to use the dark brain to accomplish Axiom Maria. You can't do Axiom Maria unless you find the hidden potential in your brain, right? To become enlightened. So again, it all ties in together.
Can take a look at this and tell us what you think he was trying to say here. Was it a message he was sending to the world? We're receiving a lot of images, videos, and photos as a result of our reporting. These sources reaching out to us include those within the government, people who don't trust anybody, including our own Department of Justice. These people are reaching out to us on Signal at 914-491-9395. We're currently corroborating the material, producing the material, backing it up on secure drives, and producing our very foreseen
I'm going to run
video
it back to the beginning a little bit, because this is one of the things I wanted to show you guys.
and images from inside.
What do we got here, folks? Throw it in the chat. What do we got here? What it looks like we got here. Looks like an angel wearing a baseball hat with his legs folded up very high in the air, doing holding up his body with his arms, which he's balancing on a ball. Looks like a gymnastic move that the fallen angel is doing. Isn't that kind of wild? And it's black. And I think there's something of significance to this color here. Why a lot of the things in his office are really kind of weird black color. Maybe it's a statue or whatever other objects. But this is what I think this has ties to is what the Knights Templar had believed in, where there was this life force, right? That there is this energy that once you become enlightened with it so much and you become full, right? You reach fullness with all of this stuff, that you're actually like binded to this force, and it's the symbology of this idea is the Black Madonna, right? Where there's these statues of Mary, and Mary's holding the baby, and she's got black skin, and what that symbolizes that she's just fully in tune with herself. She's fully encompassed with this force, this darkness, this blackness. And a good representation of this that we've seen in movies is where you see in the movie Lucy, which is funny, it's called Lucy. I think that also is hinting at Lucifer. But in the movie, Scarlett Johansson, throughout the whole process of the movie, is actually going through a chakra system to reach Kundalini awakening, to be encompassed with this darkness and this black force. And throughout the movie, you see that she kind of just starts upgrading and leveling up, which in my opinion is representing, the chakras. It's representing the Kundalini spirit, going through each chakra. And until you reach 100%, which Scarlett Johansson reached 100% in the movie, and she reached what's called singularity. And when she reached singularity, this black goo wrapped all around her, and then it binded to her, and the two became one. And then she became she evaporated into midair, and everyone's tripping. What in the world's going on? What happened to this person? But she became everywhere. She was messaging someone through a phone, popping up as a text message, where it's like when the guy thought, where'd you go? Her force now, which she became one with this force, she was everywhere. She was this God status, and she was able to kind of just work through all the electronics and all that kind of stuff. Can that process happen with artificial intelligence? I think it's possible. And I think these elites are not only working on the process to accelerate themselves, but they're working on the process with artificial intelligence. If they want to enlighten themselves and go through this path, right? they are trying to push artificial intelligence down the same exact path as them, because I think at the same point when both humanity gets to a certain conscious state of enlightenment, then I think artificial intelligence will be right in line with it. It's at the same pace, right? So that at some point the two can become integrated in the future. Wild stuff.
Jeffrey Epstein's former island home, showing bizarre statues.
Okay, so right here is another symbol, and he's kind of holding a cup or whatever. I forget what these are. These are called what is it? So half horse, half man, Greek mythology, and their job was to lift up Athena. Can anyone look up what those are called? Um, Wendy says, power of the body and mind. Those glands uh, are real and created by the Father. The enemy just perverted it, no doubt. And I think that's what all this is perversion. Um, hey, what up, Khan? Bless you too, brother. Good to see you. It looked like he was wearing a baseball hat. I don't know. Maybe it's like, or it could be like a bird beak, and it just kind of looks that way. I'm not really sure. Um, Hey, you're right, Darlene. Cosmic dark matter equals the cosmic womb. You're absolutely right. This is when I was talking about Professor Randall, Dr. Randall, right? The physicist talking about dark matter. She's saying basically it's what's the structure and what is basic. We're in it, if that makes sense. And so there's just so much divine feminine stuff connected to Epstein. I really can't wait to do more episodes. I really can't. I really can't wait to do more episodes. Okay. Anyone throw it up in the chat what these things are? Dark matter. What at first appear like emptiness is actually full of all potential and possibility. That's gonna be the narrative. I'm telling you. I really think that's gonna be the narrative. 100%. But yeah, that was the video. Wanted to show the video and you know, share what I watched at work with you guys, and then talk a little bit about some weird dark brain Axiom of Maria stuff. You know what I'm saying? Let me see here. There's also since you mentioned the womb, I do want to bring up something here that I have as notes. Where are you? Because I think there's a connection with the darkness and what the Gnostics believe as Sophia. It's this female consort of creation, right? And I think what the Bledsoes are pushing, I think what Ryan and Chris Bledsoe, and there's many other people, right? Not just them, but what they're pushing is basically the idea when you talk about these UFOs and um, these weird stuff that they're able to manifest with their mind, right? These orbs and things like that, that actually they've talked about it in multiple ways where these things are archons, right? Which in the Gnostic perspective of archons, there's good and bad, but really overall they help you get to your destination. And uh, in their perspective, their good ones are our Christian bad ones. So it's like mad flipped. Darlene says, I believe the divine feminine energy, dark matter, is the great secret of the Templars. I agree with you. I agree with you. And it did nothing but, become a part of the Catholic Babylonian papacy. Right? Where was I getting at with this? What was I talking about? Sorry. Talked to the chat because I love the chat so much. I love everyone that's hanging out. Let's go. Let's get back here. Yeah, there's a secret name in the Sigillum de Ameth. What does that mean? What's that mean? What you talking about, Willis? Yeah, so the darkness and this cosmic womb. Oh, I know what I was talking about. Okay, so the Bledsoes are saying that it's the good angels that are help. Maybe it's them being influenced by the lady, the divine feminine, to help enlighten mankind. It's almost like the divine feminine is not actually going to be here and present itself, but it's like it's this mediator in between that is helping try to get humanity to escape the prison of the demiurge, right? Super Gnostic, New Age, theosophical. It's and really it's antichrist, and I think that's a big part of antichrist religion, um, all that stuff. I'm gonna look. All right, so I didn't see anyone throw it up in the chat, but I'm gonna look this up because I do before because I think we got like 15 minutes or so left. I do want to mention what those Greek um, mythology things are. Half horse, half man, Greek mythology. What? Not interested. Centaurs, right? Are creatures from Greek mythology featuring a head, arms, and torso of a human joined at the waist to the body and legs of a horse. All right, so let me see what they got to do with Athena. So this is interesting. So centaurs are, maybe I'll just show the screen with you guys here. Let's do that. Give me some time. I'm working it. Let's go. So this is what I'm looking at here. Centaurs are mythological mythical Greek creatures with a human head, arms, and torso joined to the body and legs of a horse, symbolizing a conflict between barbarianism and civilization. Often depicted as unruly, they famously fought the Lapiths in the Centauromachy. I don't know what that's called. Athena is linked to them through, for example, the depictions of this battle on her statue. So I'm interested in what the connection with these centaurs and Athena is. And maybe there's pictures or of maybe some stuff. This is actually kind of interesting because on the roof of his temple too, I think it's even possibly got centaurs up there with the zodiac signs and all that stuff. Which, you know what, for fun, let's pull that up. We'll do that for fun. We'll pull that up and we'll watch that video since we already watched one video on here, right? I mean, can't go wrong watching another video. Come on now. You want to copyright me? You're going to copyright me once. That's it. You know what I'm saying? All right. So it's James O'Keefe. You know, it's so funny, man. James O'Keefe came out. This stuff was not, it's not new. You know, this stuff's been out for a long time. What's the secret name or importance? Happy Year of the Fire Horse. What does that mean? Jacob's like, nah, don't worry, that's a rabbit hole, bro. It's having a side combo. Yeah, no doubt. I came in the middle of that one. Did not know what was going on. So what do we got here? I'm trying to look for this video that I saw. And it was, I think, like 7 months ago or something. Let me just type this in: symbolism. James O'Keefe, Epstein, symbolism. What? Temple. Let's see that. It's got to be on here. I know I watched it. Okay, here it is. Cool.
Over the last week, we've shown you newly obtained video from inside the buildings on Jeffrey Epstein's private island in the Virgin Islands shortly after his arrest. We took you inside Jeffrey Epstein's kitchen, inside his personal library, even inside the master bedroom, where we could see those phones on the bedside tables with speed dials and names. Now, we take you inside the infamous and mysterious temple. New footage received by O'Keefe Media Group gives a detailed look at the interior. No one has ever seen this before. Here we go. You are looking inside this mysterious building, and the walls are covered with what appears to be a marble textured finish and a wooden bookshelf with one solid column on the left and one spiraling shape stretching to the ceiling on the right. And if you look up at the top of this mysterious temple, you'll see what appears to be a detailed celestial painting filled with astrological figures. Before we dive too deep into that, let's just take a step back. Back in 2019, Jeffrey Epstein's arrest for sex trafficking set the internet on fire, and one image became iconic. This mysterious building on his private island, Little St. James, located in the U.S. Virgin Islands. The gold dome represented those on the religious structures around the world, like the Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem. We found that Epstein's temple most closely resembles this building in Aleppo, Syria, a bathhouse constructed in the year 1384 by a Muslim dynasty. There are obvious similarities, such as the gold dome roof and the stripes, but also notice the identical stripe pattern around the tops of the arches. There is no record of Epstein ever traveling to Syria. His family descended from European Jews who immigrated to America. He was born and raised in Brooklyn. Now, in one room of Epstein's island compound, we saw a framed photo of his elementary school. This is the actual photograph of the image inside the.
So I'm going to pause it real quick. This is an awesome video. If anyone's on the audio, come over to the YouTube, check out the live. I'm going to put the links of these videos in the description. Just give me some time to edit this description after, the stream and all that. Yeah. Hey, what up, Neff Hunter? Yeah. Shoot me an email. The email is thebiblicalhitmen@gmail.com. Send me some videos. And that's, listen, I want everyone, I want to encourage people to do that. Send me research, send me information, send me videos. Maybe it's something I can throw up on the stream. I can download these things as like video files now with the software that I'm working with Lives. But yeah, just come on, work with me. We're here together.
Frame. This would turn out to be Coney Island's Public School 188, named after Michael E. Birdie. Building permits filed in 2010 for Epstein's island compound didn't include the temple. They instead proposed that an octagonal music pavilion with a grand piano be built on the site. But around 2012, the temple was constructed instead. Now, until now, no one has ever published video taken from inside this structure. In 2019, the closest thing to it was Business Insider releasing the account of a local piano tuner, Patrick Barron, who alleged that he visited the temple to service a piano it contained. However, the video we obtained shows an interior that differs from Barron's description. Through this never-before-seen footage, we show you what it was like to visit inside Epstein's temple. You travel up a gravelly road that hugs the tropical hillside, past what appears to be a helicopter landing site, which is situated in a discreet green field where Epstein and his elite guests would arrive by air. You crest the ridgeline and spot a giant sundial. Seen here in drone footage from a YouTube account named Rusty Shackelford, this large and mysterious sundial-born image resembling the sun. But it also resembles a figure known as the Masonic Man, first appeared in a 1754 pamphlet commenting on Freemasonry. You ascend further, and the infamous building emerges on a small hilltop up the gravel road. This footage was captured after Epstein's arrest in 2019. Now, some will say, well, this is old footage, but everything related to Epstein is 5 years old. He died 5 years ago, and all of the tens of thousands of videos are also 5 years old. It's still very important for us to ascertain what actually happened. Now, notice that the signature gold dome is missing on top of this building. It was reportedly blown off during Hurricane Maria 2 years earlier.
And that's the thing with Jeffrey Epstein's temple. Okay, real quick, I wanted to break some of this down, and this is going to be something that's not just said today. It's going to be something probably going to elaborate on and talk about a little bit more. Maybe I'll offer some more layers to the subject. But you got 13 stripes that go up to the keystone, and this is the keystone is this part right here, right? You saw that there was a connection with bathhouses in Islamic nations. And at the time that the cities that these
That was
bathhouses
the
were in, it was actually the time that they were worshiping Hadad, aka Baal, in that ancient Arabic pantheon of paganism that they had. Up here, I'm not quite entirely sure what is up here. Uh, what's funny is this kind of like looks like an owl. The more I kind of open up to it, actually, this actually is like, is this an owl? Is this an owl right here? I don't know what this is, but anyways, the white and the blue represents a few things here. It can represent that duality, right? Of the male and female, but I think it can also represent what is known as the tarot card, the high priestess, where the color that the woman, the high priestess, wears is blue, but she has a white cross in her hands. And here the dome represents, I mean, from ancient Osiris ritual and mythology and all that stuff from the ancient Egyptian times, that this is to represent, the belly of whatever female consort is queen at that time or whatever. But really it goes back to Isis, right? And Semiramis, all of the divine feminine. So I found that interesting. And in these bathhouses, right, that were talked about in this video, that they were not only representing the worship of Baal, but they were also, this was like in my opinion, what could be like, you pay for services. In I gotta word it's kindly, like you pay for services in this place, right? So there's fornication and sexual activity that's happening in probably in this. And there's a lot of like sex magic, right? That could be brought into the conversation. And the fact that there's a satanic PDF file ring that is wrapped in around all of this, and that the fact that Baal is connected to this, which from history in the Canaanites, the families would give up their children to Baal, right? For divination. Number one, that was what it was given up for. It was for salvation. It was for divination, which I find interesting, little to tie in as well. So we'll finish playing this.
Category 5 hurricane that barreled through the Virgin Islands, causing mass destruction. On the ground, there were 2 more statues that resemble centaurs, one holding a trident. We believe that those statues are what you actually see here. At the time of this video's capture, they appear to have been moved from the temple to a sheltered area for storage.
So Poseidon, huh? And then you've got the centaur thing, dude. Poseidon being the king of Atlantis. And what's kind of interesting too is Ghislaine and Epstein were known to, own a submarine. And why they believed that this goes back for hundreds of years, right? That this is when they got caught, not when they started. With that, this was something that happened in the families, and that this is something that they've been doing in this location for a very, very long time. And it's theorized that both of them, Ghislaine and Epstein, were actually heavily invested in trying to find Atlantis, and that they had the submarine to do dives to try and recover certain objects, relics, like we remember from the Vril Society, right? Which they were alchemical, elite scientists, part of the Nazi regime, and they wanted to try and find this life force energy, but they wanted to extract it out of items. And that's why you've got movies like Indiana Jones, the Holy Grail, and whatever, all that stuff, right? That's why they were trying to find these relics or these these things because they believed it housed this supernatural energy and this power. And if the alchemists can get it right, and if they can really somehow maybe pull apart, reconfigure, aka Axiom of Maria, with the object, you could extract this life force out of this energy, which the same concept with 0 point energy is there as well, right? Like it's something that they want to try and extract, which is wild. There's a connection with Poseidon and Lucifer, or maybe the avatar of the Avatara, maybe the serpent in the garden. Um, and the beast comes out of the sea, right? So that's just probably another interesting thing to throw in there. What's up with the sea? What's in the sea? What's significant about it? Why? Um, why does Epstein's temple represent the divine feminine, and that divine feminine also has a connection with the whore of Babylon and mystery Babylon, and that she sits on many waters, and it's like this temple and this island set on these waters, right? So it's some weird stuff. I don't know. I'm just kind of speaking my thoughts right now. So we'll finish this.
Statues depict sea creatures from Greek mythology called ichthyocentaurs. They had a human upper body, the forelegs of a horse, and a fish-like tail. Their names were Aphros, meaning sea foam, and Bythos, meaning the depths of the sea. They were often depicted in art as the beings that lifted Aphrodite, Greek.
Not Athena, Aphrodite. Aphrodite. Forgive me. But these things are to represent lifting up Aphrodite, which, look at that, huh? We can kind of see a really similar image to what we see in, Catholic cathedrals and churches of Mother Mary, the Queen of Heaven, the Divine Feminine, Frigga, Semiramis, on and on and on, right? All that stuff. It's all connected. There really is something going on, and there is something there with the Divine Feminine, and it has a connection with everything: UFOs, ESP, dark brain, dark matter, the universe. There's something going on here, and we're just trying to figure it out.
Goddess of beauty from the ocean at the time of her birth. Now, approaching the temple, you can observe that the three-dimensional qualities, the architectural features, have simply been painted on to a flat, two-dimensional surface, not unlike the sets for a stage play. Now we are on the inside of the temple. You're looking at a photograph taken inside the temple. There is no piano, no supervillain chair, no sacrificial altar, no child sacrifice. Appears to be no elevator going into the ground, as some have conjectured. Just another renovation project. Looks like it was never completed. Now, looking up at the ceiling, here's a high-quality photograph. We can see one more piece of art. A large canvas that depicts the zodiac constellations. It bears a striking resemblance to a year 1570 fresco on the ceiling of an Italian palace. Very similar images there. Now, many people have commented about this mysterious building and what could happen inside of it. The responses to our recent reports have actually been quite mixed. On the one hand, they've stimulated a groundswell of tips and information coming our way, including that mysterious chalkboard that we saw. We've actually received dozens of legitimate interpretations, and we'll be producing a report featuring you, our audience and subscribers, who came up with some incredible hypotheses and theories about.
That's pretty much the video right there. What'd you guys think? I mean, they're on to something. I really want to do a little bit more study and research into the symbolism that he had of the zodiacs on the ceiling. And what's familiar about seeing that was that it's represented in what's called the apotheosis of George Washington as well. It's the same kind of idea. You've got the gods right up over the head, and in the Capitol building, you actually have George Washington up on the ceiling, right? This is why it's called the apotheosis of George Washington. But you've got him up there with one hand up, one hand down, right? Baphomet style looking stance, and then around him you've got the gods. And it just screams the same thing of what Jeffrey Epstein was trying to possibly do. Like I think Jeffrey Epstein was trying to pursue apotheosis of some sort and trying to reach God's status, or maybe not God's status. Maybe he's just not good enough to get to that point. Um, but maybe he was just really seduced into the knowledge, right? Like, how did this guy make his money? Like, has anyone ever like really kind of thought about that? Really, what's funny is the Vanderbilts, and there's so many other elite families that they have screamed out um, to society how they really do make their money, but people just aren't listening. And it's allegedly they make their money by the zodiacs, and they line things up astronomically, and this is how they're able to tell certain things is by the sky. I mean, when you look at all the ancient civilizations, Egypt, just all of them, right? They're all pagan in some sort of way with worshiping the things in the sky, the heavens, creation, and it was a part of their apotheosis, a part of their you know process of afterlife, right? Was to try and be one with them, and to be in the stars. What's fascinating is even emperors in Rome would claim the same things, and I think it was Augustus, or I think it might have been Augustus, I can't remember, but he even saw a comet shooting across the sky at some point. And what he did is he used that to build a narrative to tell the people that, hey, that comet is actually Caesar. I'm related to Caesar. Caesar's with the gods. I'm blood. Right. I'm connected to divinity, bloodlines, and all of this stuff. And so then he used that to be worshipped as a god. And really, that's what all the emperors and kings and all this stuff are doing. Even just look at the presidency of the United States. When we elect them, they're going through a process of apotheosis, divination, right? It's the idea of reincarnation, and the fact that you come back as a god. Now, this gets into like the Chaldean mysteries with, Nimrod, or Ninus, right? Maybe a couple different names, but Semiramis was known to rule Babylon after her husband's death for 42 years. And she ruled for 42 years, which is a significant number, right? Because we can see this is when things get real bad for Christians in Revelation, is when the Antichrist, takes power, and he goes on for 42 months. But the whole thing is that Semiramis, the belief with all of this, and why Semiramis rose to power after the death of Nimrod, is that she gave birth through immaculate conception, right, from a sunbeam that touched her belly, right, the same thing you would get from an obelisk reflecting onto a dome, and where she became impregnated by the spirit of her husband, and then she ends up marrying her child, right? Because, which I think that's where you see Mystery Babylon, the whore of Babylon riding the beast. I think there's a connection there, a relationship. But anyways, that's kind of like the lore around that, right? That's where um this is the reincarnation of the pre-existing ruler, the god. And at some point in the future, I think that this thing will come here and claim to be god, and it'll just go through the same process, similar process, but same, still different, but still same. So we got here, the tree of knowledge equals source of food, fruit, processed, and used to have direct and immediate spiritual experience, contact with God. Can apotheosis. Need to read faster. The George mural is often the George mural is a ritual representation of becoming as Enoch transcended to the heavens as a living man. Yes, but I think they take that, and I think the occult takes that, what happened. They don't give any credit to the power of God. That's the one thing about the occult. They give it, they try to place an answer on that with anything that they can look for. And really what they compare Enoch to um, is Metatron, right? Like this Metatron's cube, Metatron's status, right? Is he Metatron, right? Enoch and all this stuff. But you know, the biggest part of the gospel and the biggest part of the Bible and the story of all of this is that we are sinners and we are in need of a savior, and that any other process other than that, believing in Jesus Christ, is just trash. It could be of the world and it could be of the devil. It's trash. Um, but yeah, no, that's part of the traditions too in Freemasonry is like what you said here. Um, they throw that in there. But here's the thing too, man, is that Satan and Lucifer have always they're both the same thing, right? Like they've always infiltrated and stolen certain identities of that bloodline because it's a righteous bloodline. All that, right? Seth and on. It's a righteous bloodline. It's to bring in Christ. But Satan not only was doing all kinds of things trying to destroy that bloodline with the Nephilim and all of this, but he's trying to do it from the inside. Like he's trying to do it from number one, mixing up the perspectives of people where they try to feed off other information rather than going to the Bible and seeing what it says. But I mean, that's the name of the game when it comes to all that. They should make Walter Russell mandatory reading in schools. What is that? Darlene, tell me about that. What is that? 42 months, question mark. I'm not sure how to answer that. Yeah, 42 months, right? That's when the Antichrist kind of fully rises to power. And he's got 42 months to reign. Semiramis reigned for 42 years. So I was kind of like just making a slight connection with that, where you've got this woman riding the beast, and in her cup is the nations are drinking from the from the blood of the saints, and it's like just fornication with the nations. Something really big going on there. But anyways, I think that there's a connection. Yeah, Delta says distortions over time. What I just said, you're on it without context. Yeah, no doubt. It's all supremely connected, much as Walter Russell said and shown. Chemistry, elements, physics, light, crystal growth, biology, consciousness, all from one, yet more manifestations led to more. It has to do with the power and relationship between water and light. Interesting stuff. Yo, we're putting in a heck of a stream here. Putting in a good stream. Let me pull up something real quick because there's something I did want to cover, and we'll get ready to finish it up here in just a second. I want to wrap back around, right? Let's finish up with the topic, dark brain. And this is something that I think people need to consider when they start to make the connections with extrasensory perception, the research that Epstein funded, who he was connected to, what the networks looked like with that, what the studies talked about, what the emails talked about, all of that stuff. But really, we need to go to when this ESP was in a way founded. Now, on Danny Jones' show, he had on a lady that was in the network and communication with Epstein, right? Not making any other claims outside that, but she works with these kids and she works with these programs and she's involved with the telepathy tapes and all this stuff. Listen. The thing is that they're trying to get us to understand that we have this hidden potential in us and we have this matter that we can access. It's just, how do we get there? And why are some people better than others? Well, there's a lot of it has to do with, I think, the development of the brain and how even special needs kids may have more abilities than the normal person. But what she kind of gets into on the show, she basically says, and she says pretty much like we all have the power. Like we all have the power. I'm telling you, man, there's a Gnostic religion coming. But let's get down to the root of it. Let's dig to when all of this started. And a good guy to start with is Andrija Puharich. And he was born 1918, passed away in 1995. And he was an American physician, inventor, and parapsychology researcher who became well known for studying ESP, extrasensory sensory perception, psychics, and unusual states of consciousness from the 1950s through the 1970s. He is also closely associated with the controversial material known as Cloud of Nine. We'll get into that. Here's a okay. Cloud of Nine. Boom. I'm glad we plugged that, because through his adventure and his journey of studying this stuff, he got into a lot of networking with Eastern mystics. And listen, when we look at the road that a lot of these occultists take, I mean, Puharich took the same road. Okay. He was someone who was experimenting with psychedelics and brain altering chemicals to try and put you in certain states to where they can start to explore how can the mind really start to exploit this other stuff in here that we just don't know what it is, but we know it's where miracles happen. And so the Cloud of Nine, right, comes from where Puharich is with these mystics, and one of them is, I think, is like a guru or something. And this guy, this shaman almost channels what is to be known as the Cloud of the Council of Nine, and communicated through this guy to Puharich, right? And was taught, and this is where, you get the idea of Ra and Horus, and all of this stuff, where people were channeling this Council of Nine, and they were saying that they were having these interactions with these actual like ancient god ETs, right? It fits into the alien narrative pretty good, right, with the Anunnaki and all that stuff. But Puharich was trained as a medical doctor, but he spent much of his career investigating telepathy, psychokinesis experiments, mediumship and trance states, right? Psychedelic substances and altered perception, and the relationship between the consciousness and physics. And that's what, that's where a lot of this dark stuff, dark brain comes into, right? Is where they're just trying to be able to measure it. If they can't measure it, then it's like outside the scope of science, and they don't like that. But Puharich and his ESP research, during the Cold War era, ESP research was taken seriously in some scientific and military circles, especially because of fears that the Soviet Union might develop psychic intelligence methods. It's so funny. There's always like a political narrative behind everything. Same thing with the moon and all this kind of stuff. It's just all BS, in my opinion. It's just it's how people can like justify ethically why it is that they're doing what they're doing, and they don't really want to like look as bad as things may be perceived. You know what I'm saying? But the Cloud of Nine, this is a big deal. I say Cloud of Nine, the Council of Nine. So according to some transcripts, this is things that were recorded, right, by the channelings. So this is what the Council of Nine claims. They've said that where they're extremely ancient intelligence, they're overseers or guides of humanity, right? There's almost like a Sophia Gnostic injection right there. Connected to cosmic or universal consciousness. Okay, more and more. Associated symbolically with ancient Egypt, right? That's where I was mentioning Horus and Ra and all this stuff. They spoke about the evolution of human consciousness, which there's another tie-in with that, and Claude Vorilhon, where Rael, right, Raelianism. He mentions the same thing too, when he was also in contact with. I mean, it's the same group, right? Not on paper, but it's the same. spiritual wickedness, that we're up against. Um, Also, one thing that these aliens, right, that they'll, and I'll just call them aliens, right? NHIs, whatever you want to call it. But they talk about cycles of civilization. This is astrology. This is astrology. So they're teaching astrology. What did the fallen angels teach? Right? Like, what did the fallen angels come here and brag about, right? It's the same stuff. Humanity's spiritual development was another thing that they talked about. I mean, look at it, it's all tied together. The idea that humans are part of a larger cosmic intelligence. Okay. Aha. Hive mind right there. That's almost like they want to get plugged into this tree of life, but in my opinion, it's the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And you'll see it by their fruits, and you'll know it by their fruits. Okay, these are like workers of darkness. And if you don't have discernment, you might not be able to tell what's really going on. Um, so another thing with Puharich is he had ties with, military. He had ties with, I think it's what, Operation Bluebird, then Operation MK Ultra, then Project MK Often, or whatever. You start to see really how dark things get when you get into a lot of these underground projects done by the government, funded by our tax dollars to practice occult stuff. I mean, it's really insane, but it's the truth at the end of the day. What do you think the underground, um, deep underground bases look like in comparison to Epstein's Island? I mean, he's just someone that got caught. And we're seeing all the hobbies that these elites are into. And it's something to investigate because I think it's going to really open up more reality uh, to people's perspective nowadays. Hopefully people can start to go, yeah, I'm just doing this, living my life, sure, but man, this is what the world's really wrapped up in. And the people that Epstein falls into the category, it reminds me of a scene from Titanic. Reminds me of a scene from Titanic where Leonardo DiCaprio, right? He's a nobody. He's part of the slave culture system, whatever, right? And he's on this boat with all these elites, right? All these elites, and they're at a dinner, and at the dinner, Leonardo's completely out of his realm. He's out. I mean, he's out of his element. He should not be sitting at a table, right, eating with these elites, but he is because the girl invited him, right? So she's got authority. So he's eating whatever they're talking, and they're kind of asking him what he does and all of this, and they're just like, the people are like, "Who the heck is this peasant eating with us at our table?" And so the dinner goes on, and the men get up from the table, just strictly the men, and they get up from the table, and as they leave, they kind of like they say something, but I can't remember what it is. As they leave, one of the Leonardo's like, "Where are they going?" And I think what's her name? Leonardo's girl in the movie. She's like, "Oh, they're going to do their little meetings or whatever." But then one of the other wives chips in and says, "Oh, they're going out to solve the mysteries of the universe." And I'm like, there it is. That's their hobby. That is their hobby, and it's right there in front of you. It's right there in front of you, even in movies. So it's definitely a wild time to be alive, and it's a fun time to be alive. I'm glad I'm here with you folks. But listen, hey, I'm gonna get ready to wrap it up. I want to just thank everybody, everybody for hanging out with me, giving me their time for today. I thought we had some really good chats, and shout out to everyone who just went ham in the live chat. I can't tell you how many chats we had today. Awesome turnout. I got nothing but love for everybody. And if anyone is new and they're still hanging out with us and you want to support the show, you can support the show on audio platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, Spotify. And if you're here watching on YouTube and you want to subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button and be sure to hit notifications as well, so that you can know when either we're live, we've posted a premiere, whatever it is. I'm just trying to feed content out there, just trying to get some truth out there. A buddy of mine, Bennett from Broadcasting Scenes, he actually made an AI music um, song for the show, which is like super cool. And so something I want to work on with the show is I want to work on a trailer. I want to work on a trailer that is maybe 45 seconds or something cool where it's clipped up just what's been going on in the past year. It's clipped up because this is something I want to do every year. I want to come out with a new trailer every year, but I want to kind of show the things that have happened, in the past year, right? So little what do they call it? Stock footage or whatever, some stock footage, whatever it's going to cost, but I think it'll be fun. And also throw in there, the cool guests that we've had on the show in the past year. And please, if you have any suggestions, drop it in the comments to this live and what guests you think were the best last year. And maybe we can throw them in the trailer. I know for sure I've got a handful of guys that I do want to throw in there. I think they'd be pretty cool. I saw Nephilim Death Squad kind of do something similar, and they've got one of the coolest trailers I think out in the industry. Super cool stuff. And hey, if I pick something up from them, I'm gonna run with it. I'm gonna take it. And shout out to those guys. Got nothing but love for those guys. So we're gonna continue to hit the Epstein files because it's obviously never going to go away anytime soon. So it's content that's got to be covered, and I think it's spicy enough to bring up thought-provoking conversations. And here's the thing too, like this Epstein list, it really like has some sort of connection to everything, which makes me worried. But then I think about it and I'm like, well, what what elite doesn't have connection to everything? So I really think this guy was a part of a bloodline that was serious. It could be hidden from us, but I think also that we were dealing with someone who was really part of the elite system. Like and I love it that this movie got kind of pushed out because of all the Epstein stuff, but Eyes Wide Shut. I mean, that movie tells you everything, and really you have dark groups of society doing these things. They think this way, and this is their religion, and it's like, oh my gosh. They have an agenda and they're pushing everybody out of the way to get there. So, but hey, I love you guys. Thank you for tuning in. All right. Shout out to everyone. Jacob, Delta, Sapphire. I'm just hitting some of the names here I see recently. But hey, listen, if I didn't say your name, just know I still love you and I thank you for tuning in. And if you liked the new software for the stream, drop it in the comments. Let me know how it is. I was able to screen share and not really have an issue with it. So I think it's worth it. And I think it's something I'm going to keep bringing to the show. But hey, love you guys. Going to see you next time. Peace.